Hello and welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Dr. Donald Pelto, and today I have a special guest, Nadia Pateguana, and this is a part 2 session of a little talk we're having on intermittent fasting. So this is a topic. Intermittent fasting means eat, stop, and eat. It's the latest crave these days. It's very interesting. There's a lot of research going on, and Nadia is a coach that helps people with getting involved in intermittent fasting. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you again. My pleasure.
So I'm going to start out this second session here. I'll share a little bit for the audience because everyone's curious how I got interested in intermittent fasting. I was initially I was using one of these trackers. I have a 3 and a 4-year-old child, similar to you, some young kids, and I wasn't sleeping, and I was stressed all the time, and I started to put on weight. And something that you talk a lot about in the obesity code is stress and sleep, the two other things that really kind of raise insulin. And so I was putting on, and I was trying, okay, how am I going to lose this? And I didn't have a lot to lose, but I was also interested for my patients to help them. I'm trying to kind of hack the best way to lose weight and stay healthy. And I did a lot of things. I tried an app that really helped me, but basically that was just eating less, was the app, and I just tracked what I ate, and I did well with that. And then there was another program, I don't want to give the name of it, but you eat a lot of, like 5 or 6 meals a day, and you do all this meal prep. So I prepped, and I brought a protein in a vegetable, and I brought I ate 3 or 4 meals during the day, and then I was eating all these smaller meals, and nothing seemed to work until I came out on this book with intermittent fasting, and it just made sense. It was a kind of a technical book, this obesity code, but being in the medical background, I could follow it, and it really made sense, the difference between eating less and then just not eating. And also, I'm a very efficient person. And I had a patient that did it. And he had lost over 100 pounds, and I had a friend from my church that I recommended. He's lost about 80 pounds. And then I started to do it, and I eased my way into it. I started to just skip breakfast. And then I picked 1 day a week, and I skipped lunch. And then I skipped 2 meals a week. And then I'm up to a point where now I just do Tuesday through Friday. I eat from 5:30 to 10:30. I know before you told to eat in the morning. I just have a hard time eating in the morning. I just like to be full when I go to bed. So I have about a 4 or 5 hour window, 4 days a week. I aim for 4, but I usually end up with 3, probably because of all the going away parties at work and things like that. And so I'll fall off a little bit. And I've just seen great results. And I used to work out every day, and now I work out. Everyone jokes with me. I work out Monday and Friday. I don't work out Monday through Friday. I do high-intensity boot camps Monday and Friday, and I do it in the fasted state on Friday. And so I work out, and I'm fasted all day long, and it just feels great. So that's kind of what's worked for me. And I feel like, and I go on vacation for 2 weeks, and I fall off the wagon, and I eat whatever I want, and then I come back, and I can go right back to it. And that's the nice thing I like about fasting, with Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the holidays. I do pre-fast or post-fast, and I just feel so much better than I just used to be so bloated and uncomfortable before. But I don't have to go without. You can still eat. So I think it's easier to live with intermittent fasting now. It's something I feel like I can do the rest of my life. I'm sure you get a lot of your clients that feel that way. So let's talk about our first question.
I think so. I think once people...
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I think that people very much echo your thoughts and feelings when they get into the idea of letting go of eating 10 times a day, 6 times a day, as they've been recommending. So there is a bit of a preparation to it, but for sure, I think everyone you will speak to, and you have people that you know in your own life that do intermittent fasting, feel that way. There's only one little thing I wanted to add, because I know a lot of people say this, and you were saying this at the beginning about how intermittent fasting is the new craze, but it is the oldest dietary approach, right?
Let's talk about that, yeah.
And I think that's key, because I think that when people start saying, oh, this trendy new thing, the trendy new thing is to eat 6 times a day, okay? The trendy new thing is to eat a low-fat diet. That's the trendy new thing that didn't work out, right? That was the human experiment that didn't quite work, and we've seen it. We see it in the graphs, we see it in the obesity rates, we see it in the diabetes rates. Since we introduced this eat 6 times a day approach, since we introduced this low-fat dietary approach, things have gotten worse, not better. But humans haven't lived for 50 years, right? Humans have lived for a couple million of years. And so intermittent fasting is the dietary approach that our genome has been selected for to survive. So initially people fasted not because they wanted to, but because they had to. The food wasn't as available. They had to. Food wasn't as available, so people adapted to that, right? And as the generations came and as the genes got passed down, survival of the fittest, or whatever you want to call it, the genes that were selected were the genes that adapted to this type of lifestyle, fasting and eating sometimes and not eat other times. And so it's really not the new thing. Mm-hmm. It's really the old thing that we're bringing back. I think lots of people are bringing back.
Yeah, and one of the problems, not problems, but why it's not, I think, as popular is because no one can make any money off of it. Right? For intermittent fasting, my food bill has gone down almost $50 to $100 a week. You spend less money. I don't have to prep. I don't have to cook. We cook and the meals last a couple of days and things like that. So it's a lot easier, even in terms of for busy people. I know there are certain kind of elite groups now, like in the Silicon Valley, they're doing intermittent fasting more because they're more productive, or you can save there's a lot of other benefits to it, right? Speak to that a little bit.
Well, for sure. And again, I think when people still haven't wrapped their minds around the fact that this is physiologically normal to do this, that no, it's not going to kill you. Of course, there's an extreme for everything, and you need to be properly supervised. But most of the time we're not talking about crazy extended fasts. Although if you look in the literature, the medical literature, there have been medically supervised fasts for over 380 days. There is a lot of info out there. Of course, there's some concerns, but that is not what we are generally talking about. It's not what you're talking about. Yeah. It's not what our program most often is talking about. We're talking about intermittent fasting. And so, yes, there's a lot of benefits, not just weight loss, but we're talking about sort of the brain clarity. A lot of people talk about that. That's the Silicon Valley guys. I was telling you in the other segment about the Ultimate Fighting Champion who is using intermittent fasting for strength and exercise performance. Mm-hmm. A lot of athletes, I'm not going to mention any names today, but you can look this up. There's a lot of athletes. There's a lot of famous people that are coming out and saying, this is what I have done, and this is what has happened to my muscle mass. This is what's happened to my body fat percentage, my exercise. Clearly, professional athletes wouldn't be doing fasting if it's causing the body harm. Correct. That wouldn't be the intent. And I think it's biohacking, as people are calling it, right? And in this day, you can't really get away with exercise enhancement drugs, and there's too many drug tests. So people have to find alternative ways to get their body fit. And this is the way, mm-hmm. right? Our ancestors did not get weaker when they had to fast longer. They got stronger because mm-hmm. they had to hunt further, right? They had to hunt and gather further. So your body naturally will get stronger the longer you fast. Why are people finding this so hard to believe? It's because, as I was saying, in the last 50 years, they've never gone more than 2 hours without eating because they've been told over and over. As you said, there's a lot of financial gain in having people mm-hmm. eat all the time. Yeah. There is no health benefit whatsoever to our children or to ourselves to eat so often, but this is what we've been told, and it's been fed into our system, right?
So let's talk about
lots and lots of benefits besides weight loss.
Now let's kind of play a role reversal. You're a coach. Let's say I'm a 65-year-old type 2 diabetic and I'm a podiatrist, so I've had maybe below the knee amputation, and my hemoglobin A1C is about an 8. And my eyes aren't too good because I've had some retinopathy in my eyes. Am I an okay candidate to try fasting? And how would you get me into it? Do you plunge them in, or do you go slow? What's the best way? What would you tell me?
It depends, but I would say, are you a great candidate? Of course. And is there one thing that's going to help you? This is it. Now, in that state, you're someone who needs medical supervision, you need professional guidance. So yes, you need a coach, but you also need a medical doctor because because you're likely on a lot of medication, and that medication is going to have to be addressed, right? Hopefully, the goal is to get you in such a great state that you're reducing that medication, your blood sugars are much better. Here's the thing. Chronic organ damage, that leg that was amputated, nothing we can do about that, right? Eye damage, hopefully you can improve, but you may not be able to reverse chronic damage that's already been done.
Yeah.
Kidney damage, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, because maybe there's a 65-year-old diabetic out there who still has both legs, who still has his eyesight, right, and still has functioning kidneys. But it's important to know that this disease causes chronic organ, severe chronic organ damage that can lead to these severe things. So can you prevent all of this from happening? 100%. What's the best way to do it? Proper intermittent fasting, proper medical supervision. No doubt about it. And that's the hardest part, as you were saying.
So let's say, okay, I'm going to go every 2 months to see my doctor, okay, my endocrinologist, my primary care. I'm going every 2 months. They're going to be monitoring things. You're only going to help me with the fasting. What would you tell me? How do I get started in this thing called intermittent fasting? Do I have to change how I've been eating for the last 65 years? Do I, do I just skip breakfast? Do I go right into it? What do you recommend for me?
That's a good question. It's very individualized, because I need to know how much medical supervision you're on, how involved your doctor is, if anything at all, right? I can't give medical advice whatsoever.
Okay,
We do have a clinic in Toronto.
I see.
All right, that's important for you to remember. So if I was working with somebody like you, Dr. Pelto, this would be perfect.
Okay.
And so we try that if we can, if and when we can. Because if I can give the dietary advice, I can tell your patient how many times a day they should eat, and we ease people into this.
Okay,
there are some more intense approaches in clinic. If they're getting medically supervised, some people will do extended fasting. One thing that we didn't say, and is that some of these people are just one step away from going into dialysis, right, for their kidney.
Yep.
And so if we can stop somebody from going into dialysis, and Dr. Fung, Dr. Jason Fung, the co-founder of our program, is a nephrologist, he's a kidney specialist. This is how this whole thing got started. That's why he wrote the obesity code.
Yeah.
Because he figured out that if the problem was high insulin, as I said, the solution was to lower insulin through intermittent fasting. And yes, some dietary changes, focusing on whole foods. As I said before, the main thing here is to cut out the processed junk stuff.
Yeah.
And yes, then you can find your place there with a diet. Our dietary coaches do help people with their dietary choices as well. So some people are following a strict low-carb diet, some are not.
Yeah.
But it's the intermittent fasting
is the key.
That's the key component. So with medical supervision, there's a lot more flexibility. You can do some longer fasts, shorter fasts, reduce medication, etc. There always has to be medical supervision. As I was saying in the other segment, your patients, my clients, their doctor always has to know what they're doing. They may not agree with it, but they have to know, because they have to be able to help this person tweak their medication accordingly. Because the condition will get better, the blood sugars will go down, the medication will have to be addressed.
Let's talk for those that are listening and watching. They're going to want to try this. So let's say they want to try this. They're going to buy the obesity code book. What I liked in obesity code, and I think if you'll permit, I'm going to show. There's some graphs that he has in the book where it kind of shows eat one day, don't eat the other day, or these windows of fasting. And you probably use these with your clients, right? And so, if I have permission, I can show one of these in the program. Just kind of show what it looks like. But basically, there are windows of eating where. And so when you're working with people, do you have them start like what I did, just skip breakfast and then skip one lunch and kind of do it that way, or do you have them do or is it just individual based on your client?
Yeah, I like your question. Although I think at this point realize that more than 50% of the people that are coming to me have already been doing fasting on their own.
So they're already doing it.
I'm guiding them through what they're comfortable with.
Okay.
I'm not getting as many right off the street. I'm so
newbies.
I don't know what to do. I'm eating 10 times a day. I'm not getting that as much. I still do, but that's not what we're getting a lot of people, as you said, that have read the books and that are very well informed. They just want some guidance. But if you were just starting out, what are you looking at? You're looking to cut out snacks. Period. You want to focus on main meals, whether that means that you're doing 3 main meals, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I think that's what Dr. Fung talks about in both the obesity code and the diabetes code. I mean, first and foremost,
so keep it simple. Eliminate the snacks. Okay.
Keep it simple. Okay. Eliminate snacks, especially if you're on medication, because you are going to have to adjust this medication with your doctor. Because as you eliminate snacks, as you focus on meals, things are going to change. Your numbers are going to change, and so there has to be some adjustment. That's what people want. That's why they're coming to us, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to avoid the dialysis. They're trying to get off this medication that's making them worse. Yeah. But I there's a part that I help them with, and there's a part that their doctor has to help them with. Okay. So first and foremost, you want to eliminate snacks. Secondly, as you said, and Dr. Fung says, if you're looking to reverse one of these conditions, if you're looking to lose weight or lower blood sugars, you start skipping a meal here and there. Okay. The easiest meal to skip for most people is breakfast. Okay? It's the easiest meal because many people are not hungry in the morning. If you're not hungry, you shouldn't eat. You shouldn't eat when you're not hungry. And this is the thing that we have been told over and over again. You have to eat more often. So people are forcing themselves to eat when they're not hungry. They're raising that hormone, which is causing them to eat more often. And this is a cascade of events that have been created over time. Because naturally, people don't eat that often, or they don't want to eat that often. And when people start to eat real food again, they don't want to eat that often. They eat 2 times a day, maybe, right? Most traditional cultures are still eating twice a day. I mean, I come from Mozambique, as you said in the other segment. Yeah. Where I come from, people are still doing 1 or 2 meals a day.
Really?
Not in the city, but in the rural areas.
Really?
Yes.
What are the 2 meals? Lunch and dinner?
They get up very early. That's a great question. They don't have breakfast. Traditionally, they get up very, very early. I'm talking people in the country. I'm not talking about people that work in a bank. But people in the countryside get up. They go to their farms. They call them mashambas. And everybody has one of these, or they can't eat. Right? They can't go to the grocery store and buy all their food. They live off the land mostly. They have very small, limited amount of income to buy anything. So they have a piece of land that they farm all day. Yeah. Very traditional, just like, probably 100, 200 years ago it was in many other places. And they farm for hours. At some point they may stop and eat something. Maybe so they get up, they start working at 5, 6 in the morning, maybe earlier, depending on if it's winter or summer. They stop to eat at some point, maybe at 10 a.m. They can't stay out too late because it gets really hot in Africa, where I'm from, sub-Saharan Africa, Mozambique. So they work early, they eat. Maybe if there's leftovers from the night before, they have a meal before lunch, maybe 10 o'clock. Then they go home, they bring all of these greens and all of whatever they've been able to gather, whatever they have at home, they start to make a meal. The meal is made from scratch. There's a lot of, I don't even know the English terms to this. To be totally honest with you, but they have to grind up the corn or whatever it is that they're collecting. They've got the greens. They have to extract the milk from the coconut. They have to make a milk out of the peanuts. This is my country specifically. This takes hours. It's a labor of love. And then the husbands maybe come back from work, the children from school, they have one meal together. Period. That meal, if there is leftover, the children might eat something in the morning before they go to school. And then when they come back, this whole process starts all over again.
Is there, in that population, is there a high propensity towards obesity and metabolic syndrome? Or is it like in those other cultures that Jason Fung talks about, Dr. Fung, these other cultures where they don't have it, it doesn't exist?
So again, I'm talking about rural. Mozambique, like every other country, has cities and developed cities. I'm from Maputo, which is the capital, and all people wanted from me was weight loss diet. There's a huge
in the big
percentage of obesity and diabetes in Maputo. But in the rural country, no, of course not. Not so much. At times, there's a bit of a lack of balance in these countries. It's hard to say. It's the dichotomy of where there's the overfed and the underfed. So it's not the best example. But the example here that I'm using is to show what naturally it would look like if people are living off the land and how people would survive. They would eat. They would grow their foods and they would eat, just like they did back in the days when people were farming in North America and Europe. They were eating 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
Period. And you can look at, like, the issue is not that far away. You can look at this. It's 2 meals a day that people had, and it was natural and normal.
Very interesting. It always takes me back. I lived in Brazil about 20 years ago, and when I was there, I was shocked. Just 20 years ago, everyone was skinny. Like, all the gentlemen, all the men, father figures were all skinny. Everyone. 20 years later, very few. There's still some, but very few, and it's all because of these eating opportunities, I think, and just this processed food. And so I agree with you. Just cutting out the snacks to begin with, and it's hard because it's almost like an addiction, for a lot of.
Not almost. It is an addiction. People don't like to talk about food addiction, but I work with it, so I know. And there's programs to just deal with that, because it is an addiction. But insulin, whether or not you have a food addiction, if your insulin is high, you go into this I need to eat all the time mode. I used to have what's called rebound hypoglycemia. And so I would eat, and then an hour or two later, my blood sugars would drop tremendously because I was producing so much insulin, because all I ate was sugar. This is the thing. I was a very small, skinny kid, and all I ate was sugar. I never ate meat. I never ate vegetables. I hated it tremendously. I found out that because I wasn't breastfed, my mother gave me, I think it was cow's milk with honey. It was something ridiculous. But I started off my life, having sugar, and then all I wanted was sugar. And my whole childhood, this is why I developed all those concerns that I told you about very early on in my life, because it was a spiral effect. I'm sure there was, and there still probably is, a sugar addiction there. But it really just depends on how high my insulin is. If my insulin is high, I can't stop myself.
Yeah.
But if my insulin is low, I'm very satisfied with 2 rich meals, and that's what I eat the majority of the time myself. I'm not trying to lose weight, at least not anymore.
Yeah.
Not trying to lower blood sugars, not trying to lower blood pressure. Everything is nice and healthy for me. So 2 meals a day is the ideal situation, I think.
That you're able to maintain.
And it is for many
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, very good. So what are the things that you think would help our listeners here about intermittent fasting, or other thoughts that you have on it that would help others? Like, can they mix it? I know one of the questions, I'm on Weight Watchers, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing this other one. Can you do intermittent fasting with these other things?
I don't think so. Not with weight. Well, you never want to talk too much. You don't want to get in trouble.
A lot of
these low calorie.
Yeah. I'm sorry to bring up other names.
A lot of these it's all right. A lot of the lower calorie type of programs are still following an eat less, move more approach, and for that reason, they're recommending that people eat smaller meals more times a day. So right away, that takes out the intermittent fasting option. So, but I think think about the newer age thing. Like, now people are doing a lot of these meal delivery services, right?
Yeah.
Where they get to pick these wonderful meal delivery services, and some are better than others, for sure. And so for sure they can add intermittent fasting to that, where they just choose how often to eat. But I think you got the right idea. I think, looking at the obesity code, the diabetes code, the idea is that if you're doing this on your own, first of all, read about it, learn about it. I know you said that the obesity code is very scientific, but it's a nice balance, because Dr. Fung is known for the way he puts things in his humor. And I find that a lot of people, even if they're not in the medical field, really like to read stuff, watch his videos. So lots of good info. People should get informed. That's the main thing. Get informed first.
Now,
start.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please. So I guess
I was saying, first get informed. That's the main thing. Get informed. Start slow. Dr. Fung and Megan write weekly blog posts on our site. So all of this is free information. In fact, all of Dr. Fung's books are basically under our blogs on our website, idmprogram.com/blog. There is a library of, you can search, you can use the search function, or you can just start. There's a series on obesity. There's a series on fasting.
Yeah.
There's a series on women in fasting. I mean, you can just go through and get informed. Once you are pretty certain that this is the thing for you, you can start this on your own, as you said. Start by cutting out snacks. having main meals. Start by cutting out some meals if you're comfortable with that. Look at eliminating junk, processed food, stick to whole food, whatever that means to you. And as you get into this lifestyle, you will learn so much, and you'll find so many interesting people to listen to and to talk to.
Yeah. Now, the one last question, is intermittent fasting kind of like a diet? Is it something that you're going to do for a period of time and then stop, or is it a lifestyle change?
It has to be a lifestyle change. Nothing will work short term. And now here's the thing. Some of these programs that we want to talk about but won't are not very sustainable. But intermittent fasting can and should be sustainable. It's something that you want to, and it's flexible and fluid. Because maybe this week you're doing this, but next week you're doing something a little bit different. But the main thing that, whether you're going to Italy on holiday, you can still follow intermittent fasting. You're not doing extended fast when you're on a trip, but you're having main meals. Maybe your main meals in Italy consist of, pasta and gelato. That's okay. Mm-hmm. You're still having main meals, and that's what you're eating during your trip. I still don't see a reason to eat 10 times a day, although that's what I used to do. But that's what got me in serious trouble. So I wouldn't want to go back to that ever. I don't like how I feel when I do that. Yeah,
and the nice thing, like you said, when you're on holiday or when it's a time of feasting, you can feast without feeling guilty. I think that's a nice benefit of intermittent fasting. Good. So if people are wanting to learn more,
I agree.
If people want to learn more, Nadia, about you, about intermittent fasting, or what's the website that they can go to?
So our program, as I said, is called Intensive Dietary Management. It's IDM program altogether, idmprogram.com. And then under there, you can look at our personalized coaching option. There's a membership option for the people that want to do this on their own. Mm-hmm. We call it our do-it-yourself program. There's the blogs that, as I said, are accessible and free. You can sign up for a 12-week course, which is free. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good information that Megan and Dr. Fung have put together. And then there's us, the coaches. There's 8 of us.
Great. Well, Nadia, thank you so much for your time. It's been great chatting with you here on Healthy Living.